knows we're right at the 60-day deadline. Is the president intending to either seek congressional authorization for the war in Iran or send us the legally required certification that he needs an additional 30 days to remove U.S. forces?
This is the moment an administration witness learns. The Constitution is not a suggestion. The New York congressman isn't asking for a briefing. He's demanding the legal justification for a war Congress never authorized. He represents New Yorkers. He reads the War Powers Resolution, and he will not accept a wink and nod answer from an administration that is violating the law. Hit subscribe now. These hearings are exposing the deepest level of executive overreach.
Why do you continue to prosecute a war that the American people aren't behind?
First of all, I appreciate the opportunity for that closed session where we had a, unsurprisingly, very different discussion than we have here with the cameras on. We support this
because my job is to represent New Yorkers, and I can tell you, when I talk to them all across my state, they are furious, and they expect me to explain to them why
the congressman starts strong. Why prosecute a war the American people don't support? The witness immediately plays the closed session card. A very different discussion with the cameras on. Translation, we can say what we really think in public. Then he frames the Iran war as a defined mission. Iraq, Afghanistan, those were nebulous. This one is different, he claims. Classic deflection. The congressman doesn't even blink. He exposes the core contradiction of the entire hearing. The administration is fighting a war it refuses to defend publicly.
they are furious.
I believe we do have the support of the American people, and we have briefed regularly what this mission looks like and why it's critically important that we undertake it. And I would remind you and this group that we're 2 months in to an effort. And many congressional Democrats, as I pointed out, want to declare defeat 2 months in. Iraq took how many years? Afghanistan took how many years? And they were nebulous missions that people went along with. This is different. This is a defined mission set that we have had great success in pursuing against a determined enemy who seeks nuclear weapons. And I'm proud of the opportunity to remind the American people. Because
the official leans hard into the familiar talking points. The American people obviously support this mission. He insists. He is proud to remind them of it, proud to gaslight them. The congressman sees right through the condescension instantly. The witness claims the American people are smart and see through spin, while simultaneously spinning desperately. This is not a debate about public opinion for a single second. This is a debate about whether the executive branch has the unilateral right to start a war without a vote. The witness already lost that argument the moment the president bypassed Congress entirely. He just doesn't realize it yet. He thinks the condescending spinning is actually working perfectly.
You don't care whether
when the American people
support this war.
The American people are quite smart. They understand and see through spin. They know that a regime that says death to America, that seeks nuclear weapons.
The congressman drives a giant knife directly through the witness's entire flimsy premise. You don't care whether the American people support this war at all. It is a direct and damning accusation of absolute bad faith. The witness cannot answer it at all. So he instantly pivots to the enemy, a regime that says death to America, seeking nuclear weapons as we speak. This is not a real response to the question that was just asked. This is a simple checkbox of manufactured consent to keep the war going. If the enemy is the reason for starting an endless war, then where is the formal congressional declaration that the law requires? Where is the actual vote that the Constitution demands? The founding document requires one. The witness has absolutely no answer. He never even tried to give one in the entire exchange. He simply assumes the congressman will just accept the tired premise of endless war without question.
The ability to deliver. Did they lie about the range of their missiles?
How much
Because I saw a 4,000-kilometer
How much more will you
missile
ask the
get
American
shot
people
at
to pay?
The congressman pushes the witness into a narrower and even narrower corner. Did they lie about the range of their missiles? He knows all about the debunked 4,000-kilometer missile claim that was used to justify the bombing. Now it becomes a direct question of the human and monetary cost of the war. How much more will you ask the American people to pay for this war of choice? The witness cannot name a single dollar amount. He cannot name a single metric for success whatsoever. He does not know because the war simply has no defined endpoint or clear victory condition. This is not a budget question at all. This is a question of national sacrifice without any form of democratic consent. The congressman is asking for a receipt for a war that no one in Congress ever voted to fund. The witness remains completely silent. And right here comes the constitutional gauntlet that he absolutely cannot dodge no matter how hard he tries.
The War Powers Resolution specifies that a war initiated by a president without congressional approval must be concluded within 60 days. It can be extended by an additional 30 days if, quote, the president determines and certifies to Congress in writing that unavoidable military necessity respecting the safety of the U.S. Armed Forces requires the continued use of such armed forces in the course of bringing about a prompt removal of such forces.
The congressman pulls out the War Powers Resolution and reads it word for word directly into the official record of the hearing. A war initiated by the president without congressional approval must end within 60 days. The clock is ticking right now. The congressman is not just asking a policy question about the war or the budget he is overseeing. He is reciting a binding federal statute that the president is currently violating. The witness cannot interrupt to stop him. He cannot deflect the direct legal challenge. He cannot claim ignorance of the law. He has to sit there in total silence and listen to the exact law that his own administration is actively breaking day after day after day. This is not a partisan gotcha that will fade away after the hearing ends. This is a fundamental test of the entire separation of powers that the Constitution was built upon. If the president can start a war without Congress, then the War Powers Resolution is completely and totally meaningless. The witness has absolutely nothing to say in his own defense.
We're right at the 60-day deadline. Is the president intending to either seek congressional authorization for the war in Iran or send us the legally required certification that he needs an additional 30 days to remove U.S. forces?
The congressman delivers an ultimatum that is entirely draped in the plain language of the law. Is the president intending to seek congressional authorization or send us the legally required certification that the statute demands? It is a perfect binary trap with absolutely no escape. Option 1, obey the clear commands of the Constitution and ask for a formal vote. Option 2, fabricate a false necessity certification that does not even meet the most basic legal standard written in the law. The witness knows that any direct and honest answer immediately exposes the administration's absolute lawlessness. He knows that an honest reply would force the president to admit on paper that he is simply ignoring the law. So the witness does the only thing he possibly can do. He freezes. He has nothing at all to say. The question hangs in the air for the whole committee to see and hear. The witness is completely cornered. There is absolutely no third option available to him. If a service member openly and willfully defied the War Powers Act, they would most definitely face court-martial and a dishonorable discharge. For this senior administration witness, it is just business as usual with no consequences at all.
I would defer to the White House and White House counsel on that. However, we are in a ceasefire right now, which our understanding means the 60-day clock pauses or stops in a ceasefire. You're not in. Yeah. It's our understanding, just so you know.
Okay.
The witness finally speaks after the long, damning, and devastating silence. He defers entirely to the White House, a complete non-answer. But then he unveils the administration's pure legal fiction that everyone was waiting to hear. The ceasefire somehow pauses the entire war powers clock. Let that truly sink in for a moment. A temporary pause in active combat does not legally void a statutory deadline that was designed for exactly this situation. The congressman immediately and correctly rejects the bogus premise, right on the record. I do not believe the statute would support that ridiculous interpretation. The witness cannot cite a single legal precedent that backs him up at all. He cannot cite a single judicial ruling or even a single written opinion from a respected source. He can only sheepishly repeat our understanding. And then he doubles down with just so you know, as if that settles the constitutional question. This is not a legal argument no matter how politely or forcefully it is phrased. This is a deliberate lie designed to buy the administration more time, while the American bombs keep dropping every single day. The constitutional clock did not stop. The law did not magically pause. So what exactly happens when the 60-day deadline runs out in exactly the way the congressman has been warning and predicting right here on the record? The entire committee sits in complete and total silence, waiting for a real answer from a witness who clearly does not have one single legal leg to stand on.
Well, I do not believe the statute would support that. I think the 60 days runs maybe tomorrow, and it's going to pose a really important legal question for the administration. We have serious constitutional concerns, and we don't want to layer those with additional statutory concerns.
Exactly as the congressman predicted just moments ago. The 60-day deadline runs maybe tomorrow, not next week, not next month, and absolutely not whenever the administration feels like finally getting around to honoring the Constitution. He pulls the floundering witness back down to earth with a simple, undeniable, procedural reality that the administration has clearly trying to legally gaslight the committee about. The written statute absolutely does not support the ceasefire fantasy the administration is desperately trying to peddle. The 60 days is completely real. It is perfectly immediate. It is unequivocally and legally binding. The witness now has no legal cover left whatsoever. The congressman does not need to argue a single point further. He yields back his time with the argument entirely won. He has already won every single substantive point on the record. He leaves the witness sitting there in silence to explain exactly how the president plans to be in violation of the War Powers Act by the end of the very same week. The hearing moves on, but the total damage to the administration's credibility is total and absolute. This is not an oversight hearing in any meaningful sense of the word. This is a deposition for a future impeachment of the president. The witness is completely exposed. The damning record is fully set. And everyone watching now knows exactly what the administration has been hiding from the American people.
Back, Mr. Chair.
Isn't it fair to say that the war in Iran, just like the Ukraine war before it and still today, hasn't caused any challenges with our munitions the way some of our Democratic colleagues would say, but it's exposed a decades-old problem of brittleness and fragility in our defense industrial base before you and General Kane took over, and that we're trying to address right now?
In many ways, that's
A friendly colleague lobs a softball question to let the witness regain momentum. They ask if the war is somehow going well and hasn't truly caused any munitions challenges. The witness cannot even answer that honestly. He immediately admits the war has exposed deep, decades-long brittleness in the defense industrial base. He admits the conflict is actively eroding the supply lines needed for every single other strategic commitment the United States has around the world. This is not a war of strength. This is not even a war of necessity. This is a war of consumption. An endless war of consumption. A witness who lied about the War Powers Act. A witness who defended an unauthorized executive war. A witness who fabricated a legal loophole to keep fighting. A witness who admitted the war is breaking America's military logistics while pretending it is under control. He does not understand the stakes. He does not understand the law. And he does not understand that the Constitution is not a cafeteria menu where the president picked which laws to follow. We absolutely cannot stay silent. The question for you is simple. If Congress will not stop this illegal war, what will you do to force their hand? Subscribe, share, demand accountability right now. Because this is the moment a nation chooses, whether its laws apply equally to everyone, or if the executive branch just gets a permanent pass to wage war without consent from anyone.